John, good afternoon. We're expecting President Biden to depart any moment for Capitol Hill, where he will huddle with his fellow Democrats in an effort already foreordained to be doomed by no less than Politico to get his fellow Democrats on board for advancing these voter rights legislation, or so-called voter rights legislation. Republicans call them an effort to nationalize state election laws. But if there is no success in the advancement of those two voting law measures, then Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat of New York, has said that he intends to begin debate on the filibuster, because Republicans are likely to use that parliamentary tactic to stall these voting law measures. And the effort there will be to weaken or eliminate the filibuster, which has been used in the United States Senate dating back to 1837. President Biden, as a member of the Senate, has advocated for the filibuster, but in that big speech in Atlanta, Georgia this week, he said the time has come, sadly, to do away with the filibuster or to enact whatever means necessary in changes to the Senate rules to advance those voting rights bills. All of it looks foreordained to failure, as Politico and others have noted. We'll recall that President Biden made 2 trips to Capitol Hill last year on behalf of his Build Back Better initiative. That remains stalled. So his trips to Capitol Hill haven't been as successful as perhaps the White House would have wished, John.
James, we're here in the White House is telling us that President Biden and Vice President Harris will be working the phones over the next several days to push for full party support. But who is actually listening? Who is on the fence on this issue? Is there anyone willing to change their position? Because it really only comes down to these 2 Democrats, right?
Well, the Republicans remain effectively united in their opposition to these voting law overhauls, and the Republicans remain united in their opposition to changing the Senate rules. It was, in fact, the Democrats who first weakened the Senate rules to secure simple 51 vote majorities for the confirmations of federal judges. That was under the late Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid some years ago. But as you note, even within the ranks of the Democrats, there are some skeptics, not necessarily about the voting overhauls, but really about any plans to weaken or eliminate the filibuster. They include what from the perspective of the Biden administration would be the usual suspects, the Democratic centrists, the senators from West Virginia and Arizona, Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, respectively. Kyrsten Sinema, Senator Sinema, spoke on the Senate floor just a short while ago. I think we might have that sound. Do we have that sound? All right, we don't. But in essence, she declared her opposition to doing anything to change the Senate rules to weaken the use of the filibuster, but did declare her support for the Democratic plans to overhaul voting laws, John.
Yeah, another thing, too, the White House is dealing with today are those wholesale prices surging nearly 10% over the last year, the biggest increase in more than a decade. A smaller than expected gain during the final month, though, but still, Americans are feeling this. And I saw it earlier on the network. I don't know if we have permission to use the music anymore, but the Blue Monday New Order GOP tweet they put out, James. But they're going to attack the White House on this because, pocketbook issues are what affect all Americans.
Yeah, once again, from the perspective of the Biden White House, the Bureau of Labor Statistics over at the Commerce Department has become a very unwelcome presence this week. Yesterday, that bureau released the Consumer Price Index, the CPI, which showed that prices for consumers of just about everything across the board, from electricity to food and clothing and shelter and gasoline, all went up over the course of 2021 by an average of 7 percentage points, the largest such hike since 1982. That's why you saw the Republicans on the House Ways and Means Committee put out a cheeky video on their Twitter feed last night that was done up with 80s style lettering and synthesizer music, in essence to proclaim that we're back to the 80s with inflation. Today, the Bureau of Labor Statistics put out the Producer Price Index. This is an important measurement of wholesale prices for goods and services. To put it slightly differently, these are the prices for the ingredients and the inputs that the suppliers of goods and services to you, the consumer, have to pay first when they're assembling their goods and their services for sale. And that rose over the course of 2021 by 9.7%. That is the largest hike we've seen in the Producer Price Index since this data metric was first introduced in 2010. The slight good news for the administration here is that the rise for the month of December was 0.2%, 0.2 of a percentage point. That's a smaller rise than what was recorded in October and November. Overall, the Biden administration will tell you 2021 in several other important metrics besides inflation saw great gains. The largest drop in unemployment in American history, the largest number of jobs created, 6.4 million in American history. John.